Hello and welcome to character creation for Savage Worlds in Fantasy Grounds. Now, first up, you want to go to Library, to Modules, and load the module that you need. It's usually listed on the player. Your DM will share this with you if you don't own it yourself. You want to look for the Savage World Deluxe Player's Guide, which is the standard guide, but depending on your setting, you might have some other player guides too. With that loaded, they will show up here. And if you ever need a quick guide how to do it, you can just click on the player's guide, see chapter 1 character creation, and you can read everything I'm going to tell you today here as well. With that done, we can go to characters and make a new character. You just click on characters, click the pen and plus. Give it a name. I'm going to call it what I'm called, and then we are ready to go. So first up, you should select a race. So you can go to races up here. You find a nice list. At any point in time, you can just click on any name. It will tell you what exactly it does. You can click on these weird seashell shaped thingies and read what exactly that means. But for today, I'm just going with something standard. I'm going with a human. That one gets as a racial ability bonus edge, nothing else. So that's excellent for us. We don't need to think too much. Just drag and drop the seashell thingy from humans directly where races, and it will be added to your character sheet. Now next up, we go to skills. You should now have a think, what kind of character do you want to create? So I'm going with some kind of thief, rogue character. So I will set it up to be that kind of character. Now for attributes, you get a total of 5 points. What it means is all of your attributes start at a d4. To increase the die type, you need to spend 1 point. So let's say we want to get our agility from 4 to 6 to a d6. We just drag and drop the d6 right on top of here. And that means we spend 1 point. Now, obviously, we want to increase agility even more, so we can put a d8 there. Now, we have spent 2 points, so we have 3 left. So we have to be very careful what else we are going to spend it on. And in my case, I'm going to put 1 point in strength and 1 point in vigor, because I want a sturdy character, and maybe we even push agility 1 point further. With that done, we can move on to skills. On the right side you can find skills, and in skills you will find all the skills that you could potentially take. Now it is a good idea to select the linked attribute and go through the list that way. Now the reason behind it is, if you're trying to take any skill, it will cost you a point. If you try to raise a skill, it will cost you again a point. If you're trying to raise a skill above the attribute that it is linked to, it will cost you 2 skills. So you have to be careful there. Now I'm just going to quickly go through. I will take fighting, obviously lockpicking, I will take some stealth, because these are all skills that I'm going to need eventually. Then from smarts, I'm going to take a little bit of healing, streetwise. Okay. Then from spirit, I want persuasion, and from strength, I will take climbing. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points already gone. I get a total of 15, so I can increase these. I'm going to raise my stealth to 8. I'm going to raise my lockpicking to 8. I'm going to raise my climbing to 6. And I'm going to raise my fighting to 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 2 more left, which I am going to put into throwing. And I will scale it up. This means I have spent 15 points and my character is done with skills. One minor point is in smarts you can find a skill called knowledge. Now knowledge is a skill that you need to adjust. So instead of just saying, oh, I have knowledge, you want to say, oh, I have knowledge of, for example, plants. And then if there is a check that requires knowledge about plants, you get to roll on it and you might get a bonus because of your knowledge roll. There is also common knowledge, which might be worthwhile taking if you want to be one of those characters that knows a little bit about everything. How exactly that works is explained in the knowledge skill. So if you just click on here, you can read through this and it will explain exactly how the knowledge skill works. With skills run, we move on to the next step, which are edges and hindrances. Now each character gets 2 edges, and each edge is worth 2 points. Now to balance these points, you need some hindrances that take away points. So with hindrances, you have minor and major. A minor takes away 1 point and a major takes away 2 points. So if you're balancing these two against each other, or you have to balance these two against each other, traditionally most people will take 1 major hindrance and 2 minor hindrance. And don't be too random with picking them. Think a little bit about them, and you want to play them in game because there are benefits from doing that. Namely, it will give you bennies if you play to a hindrance particularly well. Now, I've already went ahead and checked some out that my character should get, which are clueless, obese, and quirk. As always, you can just click and check what it means. For quirk, I would recommend to write what your quirk is. And my quirk is that I always leave a note. When breaking in. So if I ever break into a house, I will leave a note there saying that I was here. Yep. With the hindrances done, we move on to the edges. Now, remember when I said you get 2? Yes, we get 2. However, we are human, which means we get an additional edge. So as a human, you even get 3 edges for the price of 2, more or less. So let's go through these edges and I'll explain how they work. So I'm going to get luck. You can search down here by typing in luck. Luck itself has requirement novice. We are novices, so we can only take novice edges at the moment, but that's fine. I will also now select novice down here. Then the other one that I want is attractive. For attractive, we need vigor of a D6 or higher. Now if we go back, you see that I have vigor of a D6, so I can take attractive. And then lastly, what I want is thief. Now thief is a little bit more complicated because as you can see, this requires quite a lot more. So not only do we need to be a novice, but we need an agility of at least 8, which we have. We need climb at 6, which we have. We need lockpick at a 6 or higher, which we have. And we need stealth at a D8 or higher, which we have. So lucky for us, we are already fine in taking thief. Now we have our edges selected and our hindrances selected. So we are done with this part. Now sometimes you might say, I don't find any edges that are appealing to me. Is there anything I can do with this edge instead of taking it? And yes, there indeed is. You can trade an edge for either 1 attribute point or 2 points which can be traded for 1 skill point each or an additional set of starting funds. So usually you get $500 or whatever your setting gives you. So it's setting dependent how much money you get. But and this will be then double, so you will get 1,000. Now if you put both points in there, you don't get 2,000, you get 1,500. So no, you can't double over and over. Or you can, as I said, get 1 skill point back. But only 1, so be careful. Now, in edges, there are some more specialized edges. For example, Wizard. Now what Wizard does is, it requires quite a lot of stuff. So you need the arcane background, you need smarts, knowledge, and spellcasting of a certain level, but it will allow you to cast spells. Now, casting spells is great if you like to be a spellcaster, obviously, but usually you want to dedicate your character to it, because if we go back to our skills, there is spellcasting, and if we read this, we see backlash. When a wizard rolls a 1 on his spellcasting die, regardless of wild die, he is automatically shaken. This can cause a wound. So this means if you mess up spellcasting over and over, you are really going to hurt yourself. So be mindful of this. Now this is not going to be a spellcasting character. I'm just going to quickly explain how it would work. You would add your edge, you would add the skill spellcasting, and then you can go to powers, and there are 3 different backgrounds here. There can be more depending on which settings you have loaded. In our case, I'm just going to say Voodooist because it doesn't really matter which we pick. Your power points are determined by the edge. It's usually 10. And to select a power, you search through the powers that you want. Again, remember to select Novice. And let's say we want the Bolt. So you can read through what it does. We'll drag and drop this over. And then important, write what your trapping is. So for example, in this case, I will say Fired. And that is how you would add a spell. For anything that you've added that you want to remove, you can just right click and click the little skull and you will get rid of it. So let's set this back to 0 because we don't have that power. It's just for demonstration purposes. With edges and hindrances done, we have one last step that I need to show, and that is inventory. Now, I said before we get $500. Yay us. That's not the dollar sign, that's the dollar sign. And with that, we can add some items. So on the right side, you will find items. Now, this lists a whole range of different items. It's very difficult to look through them properly. It's much better to check those sub-tabs at the top. So I'll go armor first, select armor here as well, and take myself a leather armor. That costs 50, so I'll subtract 50 from my money. And then let's not forget, I also need to wear it. Next up, I need some weapons. I am a thief, so I definitely have a dagger, which cost me 25. And I will actually take 2 of them, so I can throw 1 in case I have to. And then we'll go to the mundane items, which I'll find here. And we'll get some important things like a backpack, which cost me 50. So yes, you have to manually subtract money whenever you buy an item. I will also get lockpicks, a grappling hook, and a crowbar. Crowbar is 10, and the grappling hook is 100. And then I have 40 left. I will get 2 water skins for good measure. And that's it. I'll leave the rest of the money there. Whatever. Now we are nearly done with our character. However, we've added these edges, and the automation is not made in a way where it's automatically added for you, the edges. So you need to manually do that for yourself. So I'm going to select my edges, and I'm going to select my hindrances. We are going to work through all of these in a second. And go to our skills, and we check quirk. Now quirk only has text, no modifiers. Lucky for us, we don't care about this. Clueless, which was my hindrance, suffers a -2 in common knowledge. Now any skills that I do not have are unskilled roles. So I already have a d4 -2 in that one, but I suffer another -2 there. Easiest way to deal with that is go to skills, get knowledge, call it knowledge common, and then right click the die, go to modifiers and say -2 for unskilled. Add another line and call it clueless and add another -2. Now the reason why I'm doing it like this is maybe you eventually learn the skill knowledge and then you can just press minus on this to get rid of the unskilled. Next up, obese. So obese adds +1 to your toughness. So we right click toughness, go to modifiers again, do +1, write obese, and +1, yay us. Now it sounds really, really good. However, pace is decreased by 1, so -1. And your running die is a D4. So we changed it to a D4. Also important, maybe obese characters may also have difficulty finding armor or clothing that fits, squeezing into tight spaces. This we can add on the main tab and write fit into tight spaces. Just so we remember to take that into account whenever we do something related to this. And yes, I did it on purpose. I want a humorous character who is very attractive, lucky. It's a thief, but at the same time, because of his cluelessness and being obese and that quirk that he has, yeah, he gets caught a lot. Whatever. Now, being a thief, we get +2 to climbing, lockpick, and stealth. So we do exactly the same thing as we did before. We right click on the die, +2. Then we do the same for this one, +2. And the same for that one. Now +2 modifier is really, really powerful, because that means even if you roll a 2, you already succeeded. Because 2 + 2 gives you 4, and 4 are what most checks are. Now you will get notice and repair rolls that relate to traps also get a +2. That is something I would add here in my notes. So notice and repair +2 on traps. And the stealth bonus only applies in urban areas, but since we mostly will be using the stealth only to break into houses, it will be fine. Then luck gives you an extra penny at the start of the game, so you just have to remember to request that. And of course also a good one to write here, luck +1 penny at start of the game. And then lastly we have our attractive, which gives us a +2 on our charisma. So we do modifiers, attractive +2, and we have that done. And with that, our character sheet is nearly done. I forgot in my inventory on weapons, you also have to equip the dagger for it to show up in combat. And then we are done with the character. If you want to add a background to your character, you can do that in notes. You can write, oh, very troubled childhood, or whatever you want to write. And that is me done. Wait, there is one more thing. Now let's say you don't want to create a character from scratch. You want to derive one that is already made for you. Now you will see here that there are archetypes. Ignore the ones up here. We are only looking, we can do that up here. We only look at the one from the player guide. And let's say, oh, I always wanted to play the rogue. Let's say the rogue, because it's very similar to the character we've just created. So we drag and drop it in the character selection, and it will create a character for you that already has all the skills and all the attributes selected for you and all the edges. Now you might say, wait, there are only 2 even though it's a human. Yes, because it was traded for an attribute point. There is no inventory here, and all of these archetypes are humans. So be aware of this when you create one. And with that, I'm actually done. So I hope this was helpful, and see you around. Bye bye.